when it was the most popular, and we haven't really seen it since then.
What is wrong with Sven, the Rogue Knight syndrome?
I have no idea. With IO, I think he's amazing.
Right?
It's very strong.
He's amazing with IO. I think there's actually quite a few games where it's probably better than Tiny. If you want to go for the late game situation and you have the right draft around it, Tiny offers a little bit more in the earlier stages of the game in the laning phase. But Sven, if you play a farming game where you stack, I think Sven actually comes online and becomes more relevant earlier than Tiny does. Like 25 minutes, you've got BKB, Mask of Madness, and a Crystallis, maybe Daedalus. If you have a really good game, you just run into a team fight. If IO overcharges you and you swing twice, the team just disappears. It's pretty crazy. Yeah. I love that Alliance brought that back as well. I don't know where it went.
It's quite funny, Bruno. Statistically, they both had IO in their lineups in the new patch 9 times apiece.
Yeah. Who's better at it, though?
Well, Alliance 6-3 up and Cloud9 are 3-6 down. So you know why it's gone where it's gone this time.
Oh, wow. And we see the Skywrath Mage, and this brings me back to Fnatic.
Yeah.
But that's also a great pickup against Brewmaster.
It is.
Yeah,
the silence.
The silence, it's instant cast. So the primal split is a little bit hard to actually cast. I mean, once you start casting, there is an animation, but the hero actually disappears. So once the animation started, correct me if I'm wrong, you can't click the hero anymore, or can you?
I think you need to be through some part of the animation. When you're already splitting it takes like half a second.
Yeah, so if you have the chance to actually stop me there, I know that in Dota 1 it was quite easy to do. And here we'll see, and there's the Tinker.
First time today?
First time today, and let me tell you, if you never watched Dota before, follow this guy, because he's going to be all around the map and making Cap's life really, really difficult trying to track him down. He will do a great job, I'm sure of that.
I think it's interesting they're picking Tinker into IO Skywrath, who in my mind are actually both pretty good against Tinker. So Skywrath has a projectile that he shoots that follows the target, so you can actually see where he's going. You've got an instant cast silence that locks down Tinker so he can't re-arm. And then you've got IO with reload kicking. So they kind of counter each other in a way, IO and Tinker, but since it works two ways, I'm not so sure about this.
But with the build that is currently really, really popular with Tinker, or the only build that is being used with the Dagon EB, those two targets in particular is just gonna melt.
Yeah, it's an easy kill if he gets to that point.
I would rather agree with that, yeah. They're very squishy heroes, and position yourself with Skywrath and IO versus Tinker, it's a nightmare if he has Dagon.
It's a funny hero, Tinker, like if you think about it throughout time, how it changes in how you build it.
Yeah.
I remember back when you always just maxed laser and rockets and you never actually went for Master of the Machines until later on, only to farm with.
You used to go
Manta. You went Manta Lincoln if you wanted to,
but you went for like Manta and Lincolns and Shivas, and you just did like Shivas, Manta, rearm, everything. And that's all you did. And then there was the Hex craze, obviously, because of how good that just is to keep someone locked down. That's still very vital and viable, I think. But after the Dagon EB build was discovered, so to speak, it just seems so powerful that it's almost nerf time.
It is very, very, very hard to fight a Tinker plus Brewmaster lineup, and if I'm not wrong, actually Cloud9 won versus Alliance when they had those two heroes.
Yeah, they had the Tinker back then at Dream League, and I remember Bulldog playing a Slark, and the Slark was always committing so much into killing the Tinker, and that's the trap that you get when you face a fighting Tinker, not a split pushing Tinker. It feels that you have to commit so much silences, slows, stuns, a lot of chain stuns. And if you do that, then the rest of the team will wipe you. And you have a Brewmaster, so you can forget about him, really.
And the risk of the Tinker surviving.
Oh, wow.
Talk about bringing it back.
I don't want to say it, but so I'm going to say it anyways. I actually thought, when we were talking about how Sven and why no one picked it anymore, I was like, well, why did CK fall out of favor? It's only gotten better.
No, the tether nerf when it didn't stun anymore.
That was the tether nerf. Okay, so indirectly it got worse, but CK himself got better.
That's true. He's a lot better now.
So it's surprising that no one actually used that.
The thing is that if you compare it to Sven or Tiny, both of the other guys have actually AoE damage and AoE stuns.
Yeah.
While CK is actually single target. And even worse, I think the other thing that hurt CK so much was making the stun have a travel time. It used to be this instant thing that would stun you straight away.
But Phantasm late game is just bye-bye barracks, right?
50% of the time it works all the time.
I'm wondering why Alliance are picking Chaos Knight so early, though. It's not a hero that would have been contested in this draft. If they want to hide their last two picks, then fair enough, or want to save some time. But in my book, Chaos Knight is one of the heroes that can get really countered by AoE damage. Just something that clears out his illusions. And Alliance are they're basically showing Cloud9 what their plan is right now. So that's why, first of all, they like playing Jakiro. But secondly, it's just... maybe they wanted it even more because of the Chaos Knight, just something more to deal with the Phantasm.
Okay, I have to ask you right now, do you see any chance of either the Brewmaster or the Tinker being playing off lane?
Brew, maybe.
Okay, because
they're going to put Tinker on support.
Well, potentially. Now, here's the thing. There's something that Cloud9 said before, and I think Envy got really angry at Aoi for saying that live on an interview. Aoi said, against Illusion Heroes, you know who's great? Meepo. And actually they had Sing Sing play Meepo against Naga Sirens, against Phantom Lancers, and why not CKs? Because really, if you think about it, a couple poofs and all the illusions are gone, and then suddenly you're surrounding a CK, and what you gonna do?
Yeah.
Ah, Paul, you're a kid. Why are you smiling at that? Are you alright?
I'm absolutely fine.
Okay. It's a skill.
Yes.
Yeah, it's like poof
No,
magic.
I know.
Yeah.
Paul also knows what a couple of proofs are.
Hey, just be careful now.
Easy, Jacob.
Easy, boy.
Don't push your leg, boy. But yeah, coming back into this amazing draft, we do have the Storm Spirit right here. And the Storm Spirit, again, against the Tinker. Such a good hero. Once you get the Orchid, you get the jump on the Tinker, and what's the Tinker gonna do? If you can burst him enough?
He's really good against Brew too. And he's good against Jakiro in the sense that it's very hard to hit the Ice Path on the Storm. So I really like this pick from Alliance. I was expecting it could come up at some point, but they want to take it as late as possible.
The funny thing is, I'll refer you back to about 10 minutes ago when Seb said he thinks we're going to get a bit of a revolutionary pick system going on. And what do you think so far?
I mean, in a sense it is. I mean, not really revolutionary, but kind of innovative. I mean, the THD wasn't picked in the whole tournament so far, so it's the first time we see it. And from C9, I really like that. I think it's one of the best top 3 heroes in the meta game right now. The way, like, right now there's nothing very strange, to be honest, but it's just that Alliance is gambling. I think they can't really push, so they're really going to be looking to play super aggressive. Against C9, they have to dive, else they're not getting a tower. If Tinker just TPs, defend with the March. So they're diving into a THD, Brewmaster, and March of the Machine. So it's going to be really hard to dive into that with those very squishy heroes. They can sure take down one if they don't get hit by Aspas or some other AoE control spell. But I don't see them really crushing C9 under towers. C9 has a super defensive pick so far. And it's not even over. On a 4 versus 3 situation, I can already see them struggling. So,
do you really need to push their towers when they're there, when you can actually split push with relocate, CK, Phantasm, just mow a tower, leave?
Maybe you don't, yeah. Maybe that's a good point. They're just going to be looking to accumulate farm. And
remember, there's Bulldog's hero is missing, which seems to be kind of a habit with Alliance.
It won't be Prophet. I mean, Nature's Prophet, since it's banned, but...
there might could be a lot of things. I mean, it could be a long druid if you wanted to.
I think Clockwork here would also be good.
Yeah.
Against the Tinker.
Wouldn't it be overkill? Like maybe too much to counter?
It is probably overkill, and Lone Druid would definitely be a safer route to go down, just to have that backup plan.
Yeah.
What about Bounty Hunter for Alliance? Do you like it?
Bounty Hunter for Alliance, yes, I actually do. It synergizes very well with the other guys. I was still thinking that Truck gave minus armor, which is not the case anymore.
No,
but still, the mobility helps a lot because that Skywrath mage, poor little old guy, will have to follow tethered CK ways and the Storm Spirit jumping around. If you give a little bit of track, he will be able to catch up. Otherwise, he will be a little bit sad.
He's also going to have a really hard time against the lineup for Cloud9 right now. There's the Clockwork.
Got him.
Wow, nice shot.
First Clockwork of the tournament as well.
He's actually, the reason I'm completely with Melk on this is that a lot of Cloud9's heroes have long cast points, or high cast points. So when you hook shot in and you catch them in the cogs and you put on Battery Assault, they actually can't get their animation off. Jakiro cannot cast a spell when he's caught in the cogs. Neither can Tinker, I think. The rockets he can cast, but not the laser, and not the March.
Yeah.
Nyx, I think, cannot cast anything else than Vendetta.
He can cast
Spike Carapace, obviously. Yeah, Spike Carapace. And then Brewmaster cannot cast...
Split.
Can he split?
No, he can't.
I don't know.
He can't split?
Not if there's no other. Those
I think
scenarios.
Clock was a really good pick here. And it's a great setup for Chaos Knight IO as well. You hook in, you open the fight, then you relocate. It's a classic combination that Alliance has played a lot.
Okay, thanks very much, gents. We'll get your thoughts after the first match is done, but let's go now live to the commentary team for Alliance versus Cloud9.
Welcome back, guys, to our third series of the day, Alliance versus Cloud9. I'm looking at this draft, Merlini, and I am favoring Cloud9 heavily. Even though I thought Alliance would take this series, I'm looking at this first draft, and for me, it's all about Cloud9, and I'm loving that Tinker Brewmaster. Merlini, though, do you have faith in EE Sama?
Yeah, I think so. Alliance they have some sort of a timeline, though, is the biggest problem. Chaos Knight, he's not going to be able to outcarry a Tinker in late game. With Storm Spirit, he does have his vulnerabilities, especially with a Nyx Assassin and a Lion in the game. So let's see who's going to take it home.
What do you think about this last pick, though? The Lion was something I didn't foresee at all. This is a heavy burst. Again, they were talking about this earlier in the analyst test. They were talking about if we get to the point where we have a Tinker with a Dagon and an Ethereal Blade, they're just going to be able to destroy these supports. Well, now they've got a quick jump on that. Pylai can get a very fast Finger of Death and just start crushing those supports before they get off anything.
Yeah, I've seen it played before by a couple of teams. I think DK and Navi in particular against the Wisp, and you just blow up the Wisp as soon as he relocates. So heading off to the gate. Alliance has to get a lot of work done in the first 15 minutes of the game. The pressure is on them.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I love the fact they were talking about the Clockwork is going to be an excellent aggressive hero up against Cloud9, but at the same time, they could have gone for the Lone Druid, which would have been the safer bet, allowing them to have a little bit more late game presence. And you know, if something goes wrong, if something go horribly wrong in the early laning phase, and they can't actually do that much in the mid game because they've given up too much for Cloud9, Alliance are going to start wiltering, and they won't be able to come back from that. So
Brewmaster controls Lone Druid though so well.
Oh, that's a good point. That's actually a really good point, something I didn't even think about when we were looking at that draft. So Alliance, I don't know, the Chaos Knight though. For me, it all comes back down to the Chaos Knight. Do you think his time, I mean, he has been buffed, right? A little bit of RNG, you get that extra illusion, that's a lot of extra damage.
They've used it before. I think they're one of the most familiar teams with the CK Wisp combo, and they've been experimenting with it a little bit in 6.80 when CK was just completely out of the picture.
Pylai quick to escape, but it looks like Alliance are going to pursue for this one as they're still trying to catch Pylai with that extra movement speed. They will be able to find him. 1 second stun, but Loda instantly with the body block there gets in front of Pylai. Good impale from Pi, but it's not going to be enough. The last nukes are coming in, and Pylai will give up the first blood. Loda secures that one, and Alliance off to a great start in their aggro drive.
325 move speed. They have the 325 move speed lineup in Skywrath and Chaos Knight, especially combined with Tether. It's just ridiculous. Lion, well, he's not going to get his fast level 6.
And Alliance are really shaping up to be able to shut down this Tinker nice and early. I mean, you're looking at the laning phase right now. You're seeing that this Tinker has very little to protect him at this point in time. Like a Lion and a Jakiro would be the defensive tri-lane. They can't really do that much to be able to stop this combination before a lot of damage comes out. Now, Aoi reveals himself in the middle lane, just throws down a little bit of damage on S4 where he can, harassing. But do you think that Cloud9 should be giving up? Maybe just like trying to turn this into, I know you don't want to give up on a Tinker entirely, but do they have this support stay middle, which it looks like Aoi's going to be camping here just to try and shut down S4 as much as Alliance are shutting down Eternal Envy?
I don't think that's their only option. Yes, they could dish Eternal Envy and try and let them catch up later, but they could also just put Eternal Envy mid and just put Sing Sing in the safe lane. It's not that important if Brewmaster doesn't get farmed. He'll catch up sooner or later, and they can also utilize the Ancient stacks a lot better from the Radiant mid as opposed to the Radiant safe lane.
Yeah, that's a good point. With the dual lanes, they have easy access to be able to just run over there, stack it real quickly. Looks like Ake has been spending a lot of time just to try and force Aoi out and cancel out that 2v1 advantage as much as he can. That's just going to leave us with the Wiz Chaos Knight, who is going on Eternal Envy right now with a couple of right clicks. They will secure it again. Pylai could do little against that. He threw out the Earth Spike, but what more can you really do? Once you're just a little bit too far out, away from your tier 1 tower, this combination can just run you down with all that extra movement speed.
Yeah, he's not even getting a TP back to lane. He actually bought a Sage's Mask before, and he's going to miss out on a lot of precious experience and farm being that far away, and I don't really know how he's going to catch up. Alliance already has this area covered, and at the same time, Aki is just constantly pressuring Aoi too in case he wants to get any Ancient stacks off. So yeah, Tinker we usually see pretty much left unchecked in the first 10 minutes, and after that it's usually too late, and Alliance with the right idea early on in this match.
Absolutely. Looks like, take a look at the CS. Alliance are doing very well in every single one of their lanes, so they've got to be happy with the way this is transitioning. this aggro dual lane, which is pretty much what it's turned down to with Ake making the rotation over. It looks like they're going to jump once again. Earthspike misses that time, and Pylai is going to pay the cost. Loda, hexed up for a long time, is still going to be able to get off the 2-second stun, but with the March of the Machines in the back and the tower in front, Loda will back himself away. It's a little too dangerous.
Yeah. And EGM too, already with the bottle, doing his classic double branch build early on, and that'll give him a lot of sustain. Tinker's just still working towards his Soul Ring too, and even then he's not going to have boots for quite some time, whereas Loda already up with treads too. So Tinker is by no means out of the clear, and Lion can't go stack for him or he'll just be completely vulnerable.
His top lane, we have a little bit of 1v1 action. Well, going to be joined by Ake here as they start going for Bone 7. He's trying to get away from Admiral Bulldog and that pesky Battery Assault, and he will be able to do so. The high amount of regen he has in this hero just means that he should be able to stay in lane pretty decently. Mid lane, Sing Sing's going to be able to land the slow. The follow-up, Ice Path will miss, but now the Lion comes in from the side, hits that X, and that is going to be the first kill for Cloud9. The 2 support rotation gets a kill for Storm Spirit. Excuse me, on the Storm Spirit, getting a kill for Sing Sing, which is perfect. The faster Sing Sing can get to level 6 and has that primal split, the better opportunities he has for an additional kill in the Storm before he has that escape mechanism.
Nyx Assassin also went for a 3-0-2 build. The 2 levels in Spike Carapace actually saved him there. Had he not had that, Admiral Bulldog would have been able to catch up to him and kill him with Battery Assault. Generally, you do want the Mana Burn versus Skywrath and the Storm Spirit, but if it delays your levels too much early on, then it's not worth getting. And if you're laning versus Clockwork too, not the best use.
Cloud9 are trying to do as much as they can what looks like in this laning phase. They're moving supports around the map as much as possible, trying to put pressure elsewhere, which makes a lot of sense. When you're in a losing try versus try scenario, you want to be able to shake up the lanes a little bit, but I feel like Alliance are matching every step that Cloud9 have been making, excluding that 3-man gank in the middle lane that we just saw.
Well, Tinker did actually go for the boots instead of the Soul Ring too. Soul Ring just leaves him way too vulnerable, and he can't even really utilize it. We'll see one of the first Ancient stacks come out from Pylai in the mid lane.
Yeah, it's just, at this point, it's 1v1 Chaos Knight versus the Tinker, and without that extra movement speed, even just the small amount of boots helps him drastically. Of course, he can always laser, and that'll give him some time, maybe even to teleport away, but he needs a little bit extra just to be able to help him out in the laning phase.
Well, they have no idea where he is right now, though, so that's very good for C9. Kind of just leave him alone.
EGM taking a wander about. S4 so close to that level 6. You could see he's just trying to stay in experience range. He has no idea what's going to be happening in the next few minutes. He just needs to have that level 6. And with the experience just barely getting in range, he will be able to pop it. Reveals himself now, feeling much more... He's good. Like, if they try and get a little bit too close, it has to be the Lion getting in range to be able to land a Hex. And the only way that's going to happen is if an Ice Path lands, and even then it's going to be really close.
Yeah, Ake moving around, stacking up a little bit too. And yeah, as you said, bottom just a 1v1 Chaos Knight versus Eternal Envy on the Tinker. But the wars are about to expire. The ones in first place when the horn blew about to go down, and C9 had to be feeling very, very vulnerable at this stage.
The vision always pesky, especially with the laning phase moving around so much. These supports constantly moving around. You never know which solo is going to be taken next. Really, the only heroes that have to feel a little bit confident about themselves is going to be that Clockwork as well as the Nyx Assassin. Both of them are tanky enough to deal with just single rotations by themselves. We saw the Nyx Assassin from earlier. Now, Eternal Envy's doing what he can to farm up, but you're going to feel this Alliance pressure constantly in the next few minutes.
So, see an unusual build coming out from Loda. He started off with the power treads after getting the early kill, and then has another belt of strength. So, most likely going for a Sage, but usually you'll see drums, you'll see armlet, you'll see something different. So, curious to see where he's gonna go with that, and why.
Sing Sing, he reveals the fact that he's got that haste in his bottle right now, and he's getting close. Do you think he's going to be going straight for that Blink Dagger this game, no arcane boots?
I think he needs to.
Got to be able to find that initiation. No, we missed it. Tinker goes down in the bottom lane. Loda and EGM finally get that kill on the pesky Tinker, who was trying to hide himself away from the lane as much as possible, but finally gets caught out by the duo. And they can start laying down some serious pressure. You can see what Alliance have done to be able to ensure themselves as much an advantage in this bottom lane as possible.
And fantastic positioning by Pylai trying to make something out of nothing.
Turtle Envy a little ballsy here with his teleport in deep to that tier 1 tower. Barely managed to get himself away from Loda, who went for that Chaos Rift, but because he was able to stay in the trees, spams out that March of the Machines, it will be able to defend up against the push. But honestly, the Chaos Knight and Wiz, they're not looking for really taking towers. They'll do tower damage where they can, but they are hero killers through and through. And I think we're going to be seeing some heavy rotations from them in the next 10 minutes. Storm Spirit, meanwhile, S4, while he did pick up his level 6, he's still continuing to sit in this middle lane, try and farm up as much as possible. Orchid seems pretty key here for S4.
And Chaos Knight actually picked up a point of Phantasm pretty early. You usually don't see that because Reality Rift, you really do need that lower cooldown, but Phantasm helps you tank the tower a little bit, does a lot of damage actually, and with a recent buff, maybe you'll even get 2 extra illusions. So it can also dispel Drunken Haze, make it more difficult for Sing Sing to Cyclone him, dispel Laser too, so the utility from that spell is definitely worth the single point.
Yeah, they've got a lot of great missing abilities. That Chaos Knight, you know, he has that initial amount of burst damage with his Chaos Bolt, but if he isn't able to get in those right clicks, you severely disable the hero. So both the Brewmaster and the Laser coming out from the Tinker are going to be huge counters to him. Pretty passive so far, 1-3, 9 minutes in. You can see the gold lead right now. Alliance are leading for the time being in both gold and experience, but EGM's going to be caught out as Bone 7 finds maybe his first successful rotation with Sing Sing also coming in with the Blink Dagger. They're going to go for 2. Loda stunned up, but he's so tanky. Bone 7 has no additional mana to be able to provide to that one, and Alliance will rotate in a lot of heroes. I think Cloud9 very happy with that exchange. They didn't get the additional kill, but they forced rotations, and that's probably the next best thing to getting that extra kill.
There was this really awkward exchange up on top. Ake was over here. Lion just like walked right by him, and I believe he was watching bottom, determining whether or not he should go bottom and save Loda, and they were just both looking at the fight on bottom and standing right next to each other.
Look at Admiral Bulldog. He's made himself quite the jump as he goes for Bone 7. Of course, Bone 7 does have the spike carapace, but only protects you from an instant of damage, and Admiral Bulldog will be able to claim that kill. So his first rotation is a huge success, being able to kill that other offlaner, and he's got a large amount of gold in the bank. He was already farming up so well in that 1v1 top lane, but now with a successful rotation like that, he's got to be feeling very happy about his item progression.
So Alliance has passed the first sets in this game. That's not lose a lane in the first 10 minutes and build up a sizable lead and delay Tinker BOT. So they've accomplished most of their objectives early. It depends on heavily on how they can transition this, how much further they can make Tinker irrelevant and keep them under control. And they also need to stymie the ganks from Bone 7. Speaking of...
Yep, he's going to be able to find the kill on Ake. Bone 7 with the Vendetta. He's been rotating around to some of these other tier 1 towers, picking off the supports rather easily. Of course, the Storm Spirit is constantly sitting in range of his tier 1 tower or has some sort of protection in some form. You would love to be able to find that kill, but it looks like Bone 7 is just contenting himself with support pickoffs for the time being. The other 2 cores, of course, are just too tanky.
Loda actually trying to extend Alliance's timeline by a significant amount by going for this early hand of Midas too. Gets a lucky proc on the Phantasm, will allow him to take this tower down very, very easily. And I think some people criticize Loda for getting Midas a little bit too often, but in this sort of game, he needs to be a very, very significant late game threat because it's just so difficult to break C9's base. They have a Panda who already has a Blink Dagger and a Tinker who's going to catch up at some point or another.
Yeah, and level 16 makes a big difference for the Chaos Knight. I mean, once you have those kind of stats to be able to support the mana pool, to be able to support a Phantasm, jump in, looks like Emerald Bulldog has been able to find Pylai Die. That's going to be a quick, easy kill. No, Pylai Die gets outside of range of that one, but he will be able to get it with the rocket. Rest of mid lane, though. S4 was gone on here. The Brewmaster is going to toss up, EGM, relocate. It's going to be going down in a second here. It doesn't look like we're going to find anything else. So 2 supports go down on the side of Cloud9. Alliance establishing very early dominance wherever they go.
Yeah, 4 staff already up on Clockwork too, so he is super scary. And at least C9 was able to take out their Ancient stack before Alliance threatened that position. Had they not done that and Alliance had secured that for themselves, perhaps with Chaos Knight illusions, that would have been very, very detrimental.
Nahaz pulling up the stats. You can tell this Tinker certainly having a hard time, but he still has like really good timing for his boots of travel. So he's going to be very happy with the position he's sitting in, finally getting that boots. And well, we also have Alliance. They do have the relocate. They showed it in the mid-team fight. but they're going to be showing it a lot more as bottom lane, once S4 starts moving around and setting up those easy, like all you have to do is find one disable and the relocate is going to be right on top of those heroes. In fact, here comes your disable. Admiral Bulldog, I don't think he needs any help on this one, man. Pilot Eye will fall nonetheless.
Wow, Pilot, what was that, Impale? Anyways, the Pilot has just been getting caught out of position a lot, but that's very, very difficult since Admiral Bulldog has been spot on with his hook shots, with his positioning.
Around the map, providing as much pressure as possible. You'd love to be able to see him shut down the Tinker once or twice, but I think he's done an admirable job so far. Completely unintended pun, but we also have, again, the rotations from EGM and Loda to be afraid of, and looks like they're going to be farming up a little bit. I like the fact that Alliance aren't trying to push themselves too hard here. They're sitting back, farming up a little bit here and there, waiting for their basic, because they're really strong in the mid-game, right? It's not necessarily the 15-minute mark where they truly shine. I would say it's more like the 25-minute mark, where you have Storm Spirit pick up his first item. You've got some big stat items on both the Wisp as well as the Chaos Knight, so they're pretty tanky and don't have to deal with that instant burst damage both the Nyx and the Lion provide.
And it looks like they're...
Yeah, Cloud9, they're just spamming out marching machines wherever they go, afraid of any sort of aggression from Alliance. It's here and there, Bone 7. No one knows where he's at. Storm Spirit.
We've actually seen S4 not really be active at all. He's 0-1-0 right now. Not that he really has needed to be. It looks like he's just trying to find his Orchid as soon as possible and just pick off weak supports or potentially pick off Panda in the team fight. But this is an active decision from Alliance. They're not going all out aggressiveness. They're not going balls to the wall. They're just going to take it easy, get their items, and take it from there.
Cloud9 showing 4 heroes in this top lane, sitting behind the tier 1 tower, and just hoping to be able to hold on to Admiral Bulldog. Does run into Sing Sing, who was behind the tier 1 tower. Now Sing Sing's gonna jump, get the double clap onto Alliance, throws the stun onto EGM, followed up with the right click damage, and the finger goes out on Loda as well. Can they even finish him off though? Finally, Bone 7 gets that last right click. Lion will die as Admiral Bulldog force staffs himself forward to find another kill, trying to get onto Bone 7. Okay, leads out an ultimate at the last second, barely managed to get away with his life as Sing Sing comes back and dies instantly to the Storm Spirit who held him up. At least Eternal Envy did manage to claim that tier 1 tower, but he needs to get out. Loda here searching where he can. Eternal Envy juking around a little bit more, but can he actually get this distance here? Okay, he's gonna make the jump in. Ice Pad, perfect on the mark, and that just might give Eternal Envy enough room to be able to maneuver. Aoi will give up his life, but it saved the Tinker, and that is a worthy support trade.
And whoa, S4 almost dying from that right there. And Aoi actually going for the Liquid Fire build. I know he's really a big fan of the Liquid Fire build, but I think in this particular game, he's not actually able to pressure that many towers. It's not your typical Aoi 2000 support game where you can just go out by your lonesome and, you know, casually farm, casually push. They have a Storm on the other team, they have a Wisp and a CK, and they have a Clockwork. So in this game, I think he needs to go a more defensive build, maybe maxing Ice Path, maxing Dual Breath, so that he can save Eternal Envy from potential danger.
Yeah, it's certainly like Alliance started off with giving Cloud9 zero room with those supports to be able to do any kind of pushing with their aggro try, and then have committed that with all the extra mobility that they have between the Storm Spirit, Clockwork, and the Wisp Chaos Knight combination. That is everything you need, especially on a support, while be tanky. Jakiro has no escape mechanism whatsoever, and you just cannot defend yourself with an Ice Path.
And see a double damage rune down there, S4 still.
Smoke is going to be revealed as Aoi runs right into Admiral Bulldog there, getting caught in. Nice silence coming out on the side as Ake slows up Bone 7 as much as possible, still will go down. 1-for-1 trade so far. Sing Sing, oh, he's going to be caught out as S4 makes that rotation. 3-second stun, and another falls. 2-for-1 exchange. Alliance with a very successful smoke so far. They're going to continue this now, using that aggression to be able to try and take a tier 1 tower in the mid lane. Eternal Envy will do what he can to stop it, but you have to keep your distance away from some of these Alliance heroes.
This mid tower is so important for Alliance to take down, not mostly for Roshan and jungle control like it usually is, but more for ancient control. And Tinker's really hard pressed to find some sort of farm. He's really been farming in this area down here, using that triple camp and mostly just farming the jungle because he doesn't ever want Alliance to have eyes on him.
Eternal Envy, he went for that split push in the top lane, knowing he can't defend that middle tier 1 tower, and he's about to show that he's going to be pushing in this bottom lane as well. So with the blink dagger he has, he could be a lot more aggressive with his blinking, and it's going to be up to heroes like S4 and Admiral Bulldog to try and catch out with their individual single target stuns that they have to be able to grab that Tinker before he makes the blink away right after the March of the Machines.
S4 almost dying to the March of the Machines down bottom. It's a close one. And still working up towards that next item. Fairly close.
Dire's bottom tower.
Sage being picked up by Loda. Looks like he's also going to be going for BKB, but a smoke also going to be revealed as C9 managed to snag EGM real quickly. Can they get Loda as well? Loda has actually found Eternal Envy, but he's in the trees. He can't really go for that one. Sing Sing now popping the ultimate, stunning up Loda. Goes for the kills. Loda's so tanky though. They're going to throw everything they have at him. Even the kitchen sink will be able to secure that kill. Now Admiral Bulldog is next. They start stunning him up, but can't really go too much now. They've already thrown everything they have at Alliance, and Alliance know it too, as they start being the aggressor. So Admiral Bulldog barely missing that hook shot. Bone7 still going to be caught as S4 makes a long jump in. Does he have enough burst damage to finish off Bone7? He does before his stun can come out. And Cloud9 now on their retreat. Alliance looking to grab more here, but the missed hook shot and S4 already blowing out a lot of mana. EGM, that was a very defensive relocate. He's trying to come in and be able to finish off some of these heroes. Sing Sing finishes off the Skywrath Mage with a quick 1-2 punch. And oh, EGM, his relocate runs out just in time to be able to get himself away from that Tinker's burst damage.
I like how Cloud9's not, they retreat together. They retreat as a team. Had they not, they would have gotten like picked off 1 or 2 more deaths. And
just
S4.
like Pylai Die, man, who Orchid is revealed from S4, and he's going to be able to get that kill nice and easy, and keeps on moving around with his haste rune. Jumps over to the Ancients and teleports himself away. And look at that, Admiral Bulldog. He's been farming so well, it's not a surprise that he's all the way to his next item already. Loda as well has been farming up. I mean, what do you think about this build? Like, he's going pure tank here. The Sage into the BKB, I'm presuming, with that Ogre Club. Not even trying to finish off a Halberd or an SNY first.
I think it's completely appropriate given how much flack they've given him this game. Every time he just gets focused down so hard by Brewmaster. Sing Sing has constantly been blinking on him, clapping, and then ultimating him every time, sometimes a finger of death or two to go on top. He really needs a BKB so that he can weather the storm during a Panda ultimate, but at the same time, they've been making a lot of space for S4. He's been playing so patiently. Sing Sing gets caught out.
Yeah, they're going to hold him in. Sing Sing blown up by the Skywrath Mage, but at the same time, Bone7 has come in. He's trying to commit to that kill on Ake, but the relocate is also coming in. They're easily going to be able to secure the Nyx Assassin kill. What else can they get out of this? Even the Force Staff, they're trying to push Loda into a position to find more heroes, but they're just going to back themselves up. They already found 2 pickoffs and just more and more map control. This is the power of the Chaos Knight Wisp. Even if it has been nerfed ever since that tether no longer providing that stun, the combination isn't nearly as strong, but it certainly does keep up a lot of pressure.
Zip up in mid. S4 with another Orchid.
They already, Pylai Die barely surviving through that combination. S4 will now be turned around on all the Earth Spike. So close, and S4 makes the jump away, and that'll be a perfect trade for Alliance as they take the tier 1 tower, the top lane, in the meantime. So because S4 did not die, it's all gravy for Alliance. And now they're taking down the towers that they need. I had to say, this Chaos Knight, we didn't really think about him before in the back of the days. We saw the Chaos Knight Wisp. You didn't really call that much of a pusher. It was just team fight, team fight, team fight. But this Phantasm is doing a lot of work for Loda so far, taking down towers when they're unprotected like that, and maybe even better when he does get that RNG extra illusion.
Yeah, this is a very unusual way to play Chaos Knight, but it's perfectly appropriate versus C9, and they're kind of forcing Tinker, hey, I dare you guys to come out and push, and Eternal Envy, woo, narrowly dodges a gank right there. And C9 has 2 heroes specifically picked to deal with the Storm Spirit too, the Nyx Assassin as well as the Storm Spirit, and I'm very surprised that S4 only has 1 death this game. They mainly just let Loda out to die a couple of times, but once Storm Spirit gets his BKB, he's just gonna rampage all over these supports.
Now, the Tinker build here, what do we want to see? Do we want to see the Scythe of Ice build of older days where you just constantly keep one person disabled as much as possible? Or do we go for the burst damage here and try and go for the Dagon Ethereal Blade combo?
Well, they're going to have BKBs by the time he gets his next big item, so he has to go Scythe of Ice. If he doesn't, they're just going to get run over. They're already going to get countered pretty hard by BKBs because pretty much no one can do anything except for Scythe of Ice prior to BKB actually being popped.
Rocket gonna be able to reveal Eternal Envy, and he knows Admiral Bulldog is hunting for him, will be able to hit the hook shot. Now S4 follows up, Relocate comes in, they find an additional kill as Pylai Die with a 4-second stun will go down. Sing Sing has jumped in, but he's been pulled up, and the silence will keep him from being able to do much more. Bone7 turns, fights up against EGM, but the Relocate goes out just in time. Aoi now on the ropes trying to get himself away. Eternal Envy comes back, silenced up. Do they have enough magic damage? Admiral Bulldog's diving in deep. He wants this kill. He can taste it. He will fall. But Loda will get some vengeance for his ally. Gets that kill. Now Aoi trying to slow down Loda as much as possible within that tier 3. But he might not want to overextend himself. Aoi throws out the ice path. Beautiful dodge there from Loda as he gets 3-second stun and wiping Cloud9. Alliance 4 heroes up. Admiral Bulldog laid his life down on the line on that tier 3 just to ensure Alliance could move forward.
He's been missing a couple hook shots, but that was by far the most important one that he's hit in this entire game. Just completely set the ball in motion. And Tinker, he died twice and he fought back.
Yeah, he is unbelievably set behind now from that whole entire play. And Alliance, well, they haven't taken any additional towers, but they certainly put enough pressure where Cloud9, every single lane is either pushed out or defended in some ways. You can see S4 is just farming up this top area. There's nowhere really for Eternal Envy to go at this point without putting himself in grave danger.
Yeah, and that was a really quick Orchid from S4 too. Had Panda gotten his ultimate off, it might have been a little bit of a different fight, but I also like how they picked nice heroes to synergize with Skywrath's Mage ultimate.
S4, Mana Burn goes on to him, he's getting low, Bone7 jumps away, he realizes he's not going to be able to actually ensure that kill, and because of that, he just Blink grabs the double damage real quick, and it looks like Roshan will be taken down. Alliance are going to be able to secure that one nice and easy, 500 health left. So that's going to mean Aegis going the way of Loda. That guy was already so tanky, they couldn't kill him once. How are they going to kill him twice, Marlene?
And yeah, it's not going to be from Brewmaster Ultimate. The time to shine from him is about over. It was like kind of close once Storm Spirit got his Orchid, but now that he's got his Orchid, they won a big team fight. Panda is almost irrelevant with Chaos Knight having a BKB and Aegis now. He's, as you said, nearly impossible to take down, and they really need Tinker to take over that mid-game, late-game control, and he's just not farm enough to achieve that role. And it's still going to be at least another 10 minutes, I'd say, until he can pick up the slack. And even if he does, they can probably BKB strike him down if he gets a nice hook shot from Admiral Bulldog without any force staffs on the side of C9. He's just going to die. It looks like Nick Assassin may be building towards one. Could potentially be a mech too, but one hook shot will spell doom for C9.
Cloud9 certainly on the ropes right now. Looks like S4 is going to be going for BKB, so he doesn't have to deal with those pesky disables from the Lion and any other follow-up after that. They certainly have enough burst damage to take out the Storm Spirit real quickly, so the faster he can get that BKB, the more aggressively he can dive in. Just try and go for the Tinker kill. He pops the BKB, and there's no real response from them. Eternal Envy, well, he's just been caught out. He's tried to aggressively as humanly possible dive in, throw out the March of the Machines, and just keep Alliance back, right? He's just fighting for time at this point in time. You can't really blame him for making a move like that because he knows he cannot afford to just
relocate him mid with BKB.
Oh, S4 is going to be able to get himself away. Brewmaster does get off his ultimate. He's going to go straight for EGM, but a relocate already down in seconds. Doesn't commit for that kill, and hey, that's a relocate traded for a Brewmaster ultimate. I'm happy if I'm Alliance.
Radiant's middle tower is
yes, indeed, and Cloud9, I mean, they're just falling apart at this point. What exactly do they do? Cloud9 is trying to create space. We see Pylai get a nice pick off on EO up top, but in the grand scheme of things, C9 still losing towers and still losing their Tinker. They need someone else to create space for them at this point. I think they want Bone7 to, but he just can't.
Bulldog going to be able to find that jump in. Now the Skywrath Mage also goes off. They did get at least two there. Bone7's also going to fall. Jakiro, Nyx Assassin, and Brewmaster all on the sidelines at Alliance. Now looking to be able to push uphill. Why not? They kept everyone alive except for that previous Wiz pickoff, and they still have the
look at Bulldog's positioning, and he finds him.
Beautiful! Eternal Envy caught behind the tier 4. Can Admiral Bulldog, though? He can't even get this kill, and there's no follow-up from Alliance. Maybe that was just too aggressive from Bulldog. Beautiful hook shot, though, I have to say. I mean, if you can take out that Tinker and trade your life for it, it's worth it 100%, because without the March and the Machines, how can Cloud9 stop that push from Loda?
Yeah, Loda actually ran out of mana too, so might want to consider going some mana items at this point, or even a magic stick. I guess he doesn't even have any room for that. Too rich.
Look at that, still just the Sage. for Loda. He's actually full up bought a Reaver at this point in time. Mass strength everywhere. And just goes, you know what, Cloud9, you have a whole bunch of burst damage, but if I could survive through all that, what other sustained damage you really have? And that's primarily on the Tinker, but they've been hunting him down very aggressively with the Storm Spirit and the Clockwork, and they will continue to do so.
Yeah, I still don't know if that was a misclick to buy that early Belt of Strength, because if he just wanted one casual strength item, he could have easily gone Drums of Endurance, and it would have been much better overall for his team. So still not sure whether that was on purpose or not. Well,
Cloud9, they're hard-pressed here to get any control back. As you can see, Eternal Envy has been pushing up that top lane. Of course, the Wisp Chaos Knight have been threatening him here and there. But Eternal Envy, I mean, remember that whole dieback thing. It just sent him so far behind with the Scythe of Ice that he's still struggling to be able to make it back to that point.
Admiral Bulldog's been relatively quiet this game, and I mean, I do not expect him to have an 8-2 and 8 score at this point, and look at his items. Just purely to shut down EE.
Absolutely. He is looking good. Both teams off in their own individual areas, looking to be able to just farm up. Of course, Alliance can sit back and farm, right? I mean, I don't really give them too much pressure. They're dealing with the Tinker in the late game. Everything else, I feel, falls off quite heavily for Cloud9.
Well, they just have two heroes that can't be stopped at some point or another. Loda with 3,300 HP at this point.
S4 finally found it. Tinker gets picked off, and I think that's what they needed to be able to take it to.
They know Cloud9 too well. They just love to play around the tree line and constantly try and avoid fights and delay the game for as long as possible, which generally works unless your most important hero gets picked off.
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
Multiple times.
In this case, Alliance are now going to be able to push her into this tier 2 tower as much as possible. Cloud9 at a loss for what they need to do in order to stop this. Ake, S4 as well, as the rest of the team are going to be pushing in that bottom lane as much as possible. And jump in from Sing Sing top lane. They're going to try and burst down EGM quickly. And they do so successfully. However, Loda, he's so tanky. They don't even want to fight him, man. They're just getting away from him as fast as humanly possible. He popped the Phantasm. He popped the BKB. They lost a tier 2 at the bottom lane in the process, but at least they didn't have to fight up against that Chaos Knight. How long do they have to delay in order, like this Chaos Knight is just getting bigger and bigger, and I feel like there is no increase of sustained damage here for Cloud9 that could actually kill Loda.
I don't think so either. I don't think they're going to get it just because Eternal Envy keeps dying. Wow.
Bulldog finding them again. You said it, Andy. They know Cloud9 too well. And Bulldog finds the pick off onto Pylai that it's going to ensure another tier 2 tower goes down, this time in the top lane.
Yeah, 12-second cooldown. Why not just use it freely?
Absolutely. 3K on Storm Spirit.
So as you talked about earlier, Tinker's timing for his items was actually pretty good considering the situation. He had a 12-minute BOT, Soul Ring.
Yeah, they were really fast, honestly.
Yeah, he got a Blink Dagger at a pretty good pace, and then the Ultimate War came out actually very fast after that. But since then, since like I don't know, probably 13 minutes, he's probably accrued 2,000, maybe 1,500 gold in that time span net worth, and that just can't happen if you expect to take this late.
If you're looking at that gold graph and experience, you're not feeling too happy if you're a Cloud9 fan, but of course Cloud9 will be holding on to this game. They have the turtling power with the Brewmaster initiation, the constant spam of the March of the Machines. It's tough for Alliance to actually be able to push uphill. It's all in the back of Loda right now. They can actually move and try and pick off every other hero except for Loda. He's probably going to have to be left for last at this point, because if they go for Loda first, they're expending so much just to be able to kill him. And they might not even do that much. I mean, with the heart, the BKB, and now the SNY, it's unbelievable amount of HP.
Yeah, I think what they need to do is what they've been doing, which is try and find farm with Tinker if possible and blow up EGM ASAP. Because as you've seen, like, Chaos Knight actually has mana issues. He casts all his spells once he's almost out of mana. Combine that with 1 mana burn, he might not even be able to stun anybody, and then you can just kite him. Granted, if he pops his BKB, you won't be able to mana burn him, but that's probably their best bet. Okay, somebody's going to die to Phantasm, Reality Rift, Chaos Bolt, but at least we can try and clean up everyone else, get some gold and experience in the meantime, and try and level out some of these graphs.
Vision on both sides has been pretty amazing. I think that both teams have been trying to put a large emphasis. Of course, Cloud9 want to be able to know where those highly mobile heroes such as the Chaos Knight, Wisp combination, the S4, Storm Spirit, where they're moving around, where there's an opening for Eternal Envy to be able to push. And of course, C9 looking for as many pickoffs as humanly possible. They're now going to commit to this tier 3. Loda quickly takes this one, and Cloud9 not really in a position to defend just yet, and that means Loda will be popping that Phantasm. Got a little lucky there and got that extra illusion. which means a ton of physical damage, and they can't clear through these illusions. They're going to stop BKB, activated by Loda before the stun can land, and that means a kill onto the Nyx Assassin, and maybe even more. Sing Sing, he's popped his BKB, glowing and golden, but it doesn't matter because S4 is just finding those exposed heroes. Now get the Lion in the background, backs himself away. They already got the melee racks, and they can content themselves for that, or they can try and crush Cloud9 right now and take them out of the game right away.
Well, it's shortly after 8 minutes after the last Rurushan spawns, so Alliance can just be patient. They're under really no pressure this game. Tinker, oh no, Sing Sing!
Bulldog, he wants to go in deep. Sing Sing's gonna be picked off as Bulldog finds that hook shot. And now they grain the range racks as well and start moving up to the tier 3 at the top lane.
The classic fake back move from Alliance.
And it's beautiful, and Cloud9 still 2 heroes short of being able to provide a defense, and if Eternal Envy goes down, that's gotta be the G's. As Eternal Envy does get picked off, Bone7 tries to counter-initiate where he can, gets pushed back by the Cogs, and with 3 heroes down for Cloud9, that's gonna ensure a second set of racks, and sure enough, Cloud9 will call the GG at 33 minutes in. Alliance taking an early lead in this 3-game series.
Absolutely dominant performance from Alliance, and Alliance, they may have not had the best results in the past like 5 or 6 months combined, but they just know Cloud9 so well. They're probably one of the teams they face off the most.
Honestly, it was amazing rotations from all 3 of those cores from Alliance, knowing Cloud9 every single move that they made and finding the pickoff. But guys, let's see what the analysts have to say about Game 1.
Thank you very much, guys. Yes, back over on the analysis desk, we actually have a replacement. We are subbing in and out, so Mel's just taken a little bit of time out, but we're pleased to say that we've got